Welcome back to our first lore video in a while. I'd intended to get more out over the holidays, but I've mostly had to focus on getting the Fall of the Republic beta ready for Empire War Expanded. We have hit over 14,000 subscribers for the channel though, which is a way better place to end the first year of the channel than I expected, so thanks for your support, and I hope we can make 2020 even better. Today's topic is going to be focused on a nearly ubiquitous bit of Star Wars technology: shields. We're primarily going to be focusing on their development and a common debate, especially among Empire War players, which was my primary gateway into Star Wars, namely whether shields could stop physical munitions like bombs. The earliest shielding in Star Wars is mentioned by the Essential Guide to Warfare as having been energy shielding developed long before the 7700s before the Battle of Yavin, or BBY. Up until that point, it was solely meant as a way to prevent radiation and other environmental hazards from harming a ship and its occupants. This energy, or ray shielding, was further refined into what we'd know as deflector shields, which would be able to absorb or reflect incoming energy attacks like turbolaser, laser, and ion cannon bolts. These types of shields saw many improvements over the course of galactic development leading up until the Empire, but there were a few consistent things about them. For one, because of the energy draw, they're usually left down until a battle was going to happen, meaning in many cases astute commanders would try to launch surprise attacks and catch enemies with their shields down, something we see in the X-Wing books very often. Secondly, the ray or energy shields cannot interfere with physical projectiles, like missiles and torpedoes. To deal with physical projectiles, a second kind of shielding was developed: particle shielding. These are generally described by the Essential Guide to Warfare, Vehicles and Vessels, and Weapons and Technology as being both a projection around the hull, necessitating being turned off to allow carried fighters in and out, and needing to be turned off to fire a ship's own physical weapons. They're also mentioned as helping to bind the hull of a ship together in some ways. Some sources, especially video games like Empire at War, or even movies where the plot elements take precedence on how weapons are treated, portray projectiles as being able to penetrate shields. Empire at War, a real-time strategy game, only involves one type of shielding, which is incapable of blocking most, but not all, physical projectiles. Most books do follow the Essential Guide's model for how shielding works though. Often, a battle will involve a precision strike on one part of the shields, trying to overload them locally to allow either physical or energy projectiles through in that location, another thing which Rogue and Wraith squadrons often do in the X-Wing books. It's noteworthy that all sources describe planetary shields as having to be opened in the same way to allow traffic through, which strongly supports the idea that shields are intended to stop physical projectiles. After all, a landing ship is kind of a missile. Really, you can probably find almost as many specific applications of what is or isn't shielding as there are different sources. There is one specific representation I wanted to bring up though. In the opening chapter of the Corellian trilogy, Han and Chewbacca are repairing the Falcon and attempting what the books calls a shield hover, where a ship disengages their repulsors and simply rests afloat on their shields. Han describes the energy web surrounding the ship as crackling with the collision, and the test is regarded as the best way to test shield strength aside from taking a direct hit from a turbolaser. Based on the paradigm that the Essential Guide set out, which it's worth noting all came out significantly after the Corellian trilogy, the turbolasers would actually be testing a different type of shield, since theoretically, you'd think the shield hover is just using the particle shield strength, whereas the ray shields would be what's used against a turbolaser. The book basically seems to conflate the two into one overall type of shielding, something that's not especially uncommon within the Bantam era books. Planetary shields in particular are noted as being able to vaporize anything that comes into contact with them, which gives a good indicator of how much stronger they would be than something like the Falcon using its shields for a shield hover. Again, this is just one example of the various ways that shields get represented in Star Wars media. That's going to do it for today though. I hope you've enjoyed this look at shielding in Star Wars. If you have any suggestions for future videos, please leave them in the comments. Leave a like or subscribe for more as well. Thanks for watching and hope to see you next time.